All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I am greeted here. I'm happy to be with Raul Garcia, our candidate for Senate. And I say our candidate because in Island County, where I'm at, he was unanimously endorsed without exception by the Republican Party here. So our candidate for Senate is Raul Garcia. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, a lot of great things going on for your run for Senate. It looks like one, your polling actually, you're 6 points ahead with minority voters here in this state against Maria Cantwell.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
pretty proud of that,
that's incredible.
Richard.
Yeah, I don't think a Republican's ever done that before in the state.
Well, I'm a minority myself, and I think that the minority groups and ethnic groups understand that I'm an immigrant to this country. I took the long route of working hard and determination and grit to get to live out that American dream. And there's a lot of immigrants in this country that did the same and see us as an example of who they are, right? So I think that we're going to continue to hit those pockets of citizens that have the same values truly that are Republican. If we talk about the Hispanic community, they're all very family oriented. They're all church going. They're all uh, very hardworking and want great education for their kids. These are all ideals that we defend, and that goes for our Asian community, and that goes for many of the ethnic communities that we have here in Washington State. And I think that they want someone that represents them, and I'll be very honored and very happy to be that person.
Well, I can't wait for that to happen, and it looks like a potential reality. I don't think as I said before, I don't think any Republican has ever accomplished that. And you haven't even really gotten started yet. You're just ramping up, and you're already polling ahead in the minority groups. So the sky's the limit here. Like this is a potential upset. We can win the seat.
Oh, I think that this seat is very winnable. I think 2024 is going to be magical for us because people want a better life. They're tired of the same old thing in Washington. And we have, unfortunately, in this state, many career politicians. And
Yeah,
it's time to term limit them, to get fresh leadership, to get fresh ideas. I think that our families in Washington state want to see a better future for their kids. And right now, it's not looking too well. Our state needs help and our country needs help. And this is why I'm running for my family and, for yours and for the families here in Washington state.
yeah, and you brought up a really good point because it's not just about Republican versus Democrat. Um, you're also running to bring fresh blood. I mean, we've had kind of the same two people in our Senate for the longest time, and I think it's time for something new. It's time for a change. We don't need these 30-plus-year people just staying there and holding a seat because they're running out of ideas. And honestly, we need some good ideas to get our country back on track and our state back on track. I think everyone can agree that economically, uh, the economy nationally isn't great. The economy here in the state isn't great. So that brings me to my first question. Really, is what are the main goals that you're going to focus on when you take office?
Yeah, and in response to what you just said, Richard, I believe that when you're a career politician and you're listening to your own echo chamber over and over and over again, you become more radical and you lose touch with the common people, with the common families. And I think that that is what's happening in the United States Senate for us with the senators that have been there for 24 and 32 years. So, yes, fresh leadership. And our goal is to bring about a government of solutions. It's very easy to come out and talk about how bad things are, but what are we going to do about it? And the first thing that we want to talk about is about fentanyl. And the reason being is I still work in the emergency department. I see 2 to 5 overdoses a day.
Wow.
Fentanyl is killing Fentanyl is killing a human being in the United States of America every 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And this is something that we are not paying enough attention to. So, as your next United States Senator, I want to bring a solution. Although drastic, it is the thing to do, which is the Americans Against Fentanyl Act, which will give manslaughter charges to fentanyl dealers and mandatory rehabilitation to addicts.
Yeah,
If
I don't
we
think
do,
that's drastic at all. I think that's very necessary. Yeah.
yeah, I think that if we do that, we will start seeing the cleanup of our streets with the collateral crime that goes along with drugs. And then we could get into resolving this homeless issue that we have in our state, which I feel is a triple play solution: mental health, drug addiction, and then housing. But not, it has to be in that order, because otherwise it doesn't work, as we have seen housing first fail. The second important thing is the economy. You know, I have 5 children, 4 of them put gas on their car, and they're not happy. They're not happy that they may have to choose between gas and buying something else. Our oldest, who's 26, has a good job. His wife has a good job. They have a daughter. And sometimes they really are strapped to make it every month. This is reality, and this is what we need to represent and we need to bring solutions to. And my solution is that we need to surgically remove all the bureaucracy that we have built in this huge government that we have built, and the ineffective programs that we have put under each department in our government that are wasting money. All that money should be coming back to the people so we could have a better life and we could reduce inflation so we don't pay as much for our goods.
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds wonderful. And it sounds like common sense what you're saying. And it's just, we need more of that in Washington, D.C. So I appreciate you bringing up the fentanyl. I hadn't even thought about that. I didn't even know we were losing somebody every 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So that is definitely an epidemic. That it is a crisis, and you are a medical professional, so you've seen it. You've actually seen people who suffer from overdoses. So without going into too much detail, like how bad is it when you see these people come in?
They're dead. We have to
Yeah.
bring them back. They're dead. They're gray. They're not breathing. What fentanyl does is that it stops you from having the ability to breathe. And we find these individuals when they're dead. And we luckily bring back most of them. And some of them, unfortunately, leave the hospital in body bags. And that should not be the case. We have to step in and say, we're going to take care of this. We can't be so lackadaisical. And this harm reduction solutions that our present government is trying to do, for me, what it is really is government approved hospice. Right now, if you try fentanyl, statistics show that you will die within 2 years. So how could we be a compassionate government to let people die in our streets by giving them a safe place to smoke fentanyl? No, we need to get them out of that toxic environment and get them help. The addicts are not the problem. The problems are the people distributing drugs that should go to prison. The addicts need medical help, and we should give it to them in a mandatory way so they could actually get out of it.
Now, speaking of the people who are distributing it, you mentioned, I think, as part of your act, they would be charged if you were caught distributing fentanyl. Um, you would be charged with manslaughter or attempted manslaughter.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, if you're giving somebody fentanyl, the chances are good you're going to kill them. So that makes sense to me. Um, okay, so my next question is, you kind of already explained it, but if you could, because you did so well explaining it. When you become a senator, you're going to be focusing on legislation. So, other than fentanyl and focusing on housing, is there any other legislation that's near and dear to your heart that you want to get passed, or is there anything that you really want to stop doing?
Well, we need some discipline and leadership at our border,
Yeah.
right? Not only are we in question of losing our sovereignty, because every sovereign nation should have the right to vet who comes in and out of their country. Not only are we not vetting who comes in and out of our country, but we're letting drugs and crime freely flow through our southern border and our northern border. So we need more discipline and leadership at our border, and I'm going to work very hard to do so.
Well, perfect. I think most people want that. it really it's become so politicized. I'm not quite sure why, but we definitely have a right to control our own borders, and we need to as a sovereign country. So I appreciate you saying that. Um, we were talking about 20, Tiffany Smiley's race for Senate, and when she ran a relatively good race. I remember thinking, "Wow, this is pretty well put together." She had a pretty good team, and then she ended up losing. And I want to know what the differences. I mean, clearly there are some differences. If before you've even gotten really rolling, you've got a 6 point lead among minority voters. So that's just incredible. It's mind boggling. That's great. So what are going to be the differences with how we're going to run this campaign?
Well, we're going to concentrate a lot on the I-5 corridor. I feel that there are a lot of votes that we have left out there in the past as Republicans, um, independent and conservative Democrat votes that could come our way if we have a message that could unite people. And I feel that this fentanyl epidemic is something that we can unite people with. I think that the economic status of a state is something that we can unite people with. I think that bringing safety back to our streets is something that whether you are a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, you want. And I feel that we are going to benefit from these initiatives, the voice of the people that are going to be on the ballot in November. That 57% of those signatures were independent and Democrats. There weren't even Republicans.
Yeah.
Uh, to
No.
reverse bad laws here in the state of Washington. And I really hope that we could even bring up an additional initiative to reverse this ban on natural gas that just passed, that is going to hurt our state tremendously.
Yeah, no, I mean you take two steps forward and one step back. We got three of the initiatives passed through the House. And it's then we did this weird natural gas ban, and I don't understand it. It's like, okay, we did some good things. Let's do something terrible. It's kind of how Olympia works. But
So we need
yeah,
to
no,
we need to represent those people that in the past have not felt represented by us, right? And those are mostly in the I-5 corridor. So our campaign is going to spend a lot of time there. Not that we're going to ignore the rest of the state. I am going to make sure that I get to everyone in the state and make sure that they know that I will represent their views. But staying here in the I-5 corridor and listening to those that have never voted Republican before, I think is important to change the outcome of this race. And I think we will do it.
that's a good strategy, and I'm glad you're doing it. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for your campaign, and I was excited to vote to endorse you here in Island County. And I am a delegate to the Washington State Convention. I'm going to be excited to cast my vote for you again, and then again in October, November, whenever I get my ballot for for the actual Senate. So thank you so much for coming on. And
Well, let's
um,
not forget to vote in August. That's important.
oh yes, the primary is important. Let's vote in
Yeah,
the
the
primary.
primary is very important because not only um, can we show that this campaign is real and it brings the solutions that I'm talking about, but it can show that we could beat Cantwell, right? Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be something to beat her in August? So this could then be the campaign that the whole country looks at.
Oh, that would definitely get national attention. If you come within 3 points in August, it'll get national attention.
Well,
And
I'm going to work very hard to get that done. Yes.
okay, well, perfect. So, last question is: how do we find you if we want to donate to your campaign or support your campaign? Where can we look you up?
Well, unfortunately, everything is money in politics now. Coming from medicine,
Yeah.
I could tell you it's preposterous the amount of money that we spend in politics, but unfortunately is a necessary evil. So Garcia4wa.com, Garcia FORWA.com is our website, and you could certainly volunteer there. You can give us financial support, which is much needed, since we are the only candidate in our party that could run digital ads in politics because no other state candidate can, except if you're a federal candidate. We have found a way to get our message out in a much cheaper way than the regular mailers that everybody else mails. I don't know if you were aware of that, Richard, but state candidates of this state cannot run political ads on social media.
Yeah, no, and I think I don't know, for a time we were the only state that did it that way. And I remember Bob Ferguson made a big push for that right
Oh, yeah.
after he bought up a bunch of political digital ads so that he could have them and then banned it for everybody else. So, yeah, I am aware. And,
So
yeah,
yes, we to everyone out there, we need your support. This has to be a movement that is bigger than me, that is bigger than this campaign. This has to be a movement for the betterment of our children, of our families, to have more opportunities. So if you could give us an hour a week, or you could give us $10, $20. Of course, we won't say no to the maximum, which is 6,600. But
right.
if you have that, if you have that $10 or $20 or 100 that we can use, if you could volunteer to knock on doors for us, to help us run our campaign, that'll be very significant this year, because I think that we're going to win and finally be on that winning side, and that we could actually do something for the state.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to hearing more from you. So, after the primary, if you, which I expect you will, you perform extremely well. I hope we can get you back on and talk about it.
Okay, absolutely, Richard. I'll see
All
you next
righty.
week in Spokane.
All right. Sounds good.